Giuseppe Arcimboldo was one of the most playfully inventive artists in history. The strangeness of his paintings thrilled and amused nobles throughout Europe, and their appeal endures today, evoked recently in the character Boldo in the animated feature Tale of Despereaux. Giuseppe Arcimboldo was born in Milan in 1526. Like many Milanese artists, he was under the influence of Leonardo da Vinci. In the late 1400s, Leonardo resided at the court of the Duke of Milan. His close observation of nature and exploration of the extreme of human physiognomy would influence artists for generations. At the age of 36, Giuseppe left Milan for Vienna. He found work as a painter at the court of the Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian II, head of the Austrian branch of the Habsburg family. Maximilian ruled an empire that included Germany, Austria, and large parts of Central and Eastern Europe. The imperial capital in Vienna was a stage for elaborate festivals. Tournaments and pageants displayed the emperor's wealth and power. Sometime lasting for several days, these entertainments were a staple of life at the courts of Europe for centuries. The artistry displayed in these works was calculated to amuse the royal household and dazzle visiting dignitaries. Arcimboldo made dozens of drawings for Habsburg pageants and designed elaborate spectacles with imaginative special effects. The feature film Vatel captures the exuberance and excitement of royal celebrations. As a man of the Renaissance, Maximilian was fully engaged with the intellectual currents of the age, an age consumed by a fascination with the voyages of discovery. The bounty of the strange new worlds and their wonders drove an increasingly intense interest in nature. Scientists collected exotic specimens and mapped the beginning of discipline that would become botany and zoology. Artists began to look again at the familiar and found the marvelous, glorying in the wonders of both the commonplace and the exotic. The objects in the imperial collections were many and marvelous. Coconuts were transformed into drinking cups by imperial goldsmiths. The carapace of a New World tortoise became an elegant gunpowder flask. A nautilus shell became a chicken. To display them, Habsburg rulers followed a practice common in the 16th and 17th centuries by creating a Kunst- and Wunderkammer, chambers that combined works of art and wonders of nature. This was the Habsburg world that Arcimboldo entered, one ravenous for marvels. He began to paint allegories of the four seasons. Winter, a gnarled tree trunk with a bent and broken branch for a nose, lips formed from fungi, a mossy beard, and an intertwined mass of ivy and branches for hair. Spring appears as an embroidery-like pattern of new growth. Summer is composed of fruits and vegetables. Eggplant and corn, still rare in 16th century Europe. The face consists of more familiar summer fruits, such as peaches, pears, cherries, and a cucumber nose, that point to the bounty of Maximilian's empire. Autumn evokes the season of mist and mellow fruitfulness, bound safe by barrel staves. Each of the paintings is a puzzle, the sum of its parts greater than the whole. Arcimboldo's interest in composite forms continued to evolve, so did his wit. The librarian is composed of books and implements of the sitter's profession. Key rings for eyeglasses, feathers for dusting books make up the beard, and bookmarks the fingers. Arcimboldo's contemporary, the artist Giovanni Paolo Lomazzo, recounted the impact of the jurist on the imperial court.
This portrait of the emperor's vice-chancellor, which at a distance was considered to be as fine a likeness as possible, seemed at close quarters to be totally composed of creatures. The nose was a fowl, the chin a trout, and so forth. The other facial features, beasts of other kinds, were so excellently assembled that it was a miracle to behold.
The Habsburg dynasty was well aware of the importance of symbolism in nurturing and sustaining an empire. The architecture of their buildings is embedded with images that underpin the legitimacy of the claims to power. Similar imagery appears in a series of paintings that Arcimboldo created in 1566. They represent the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water, which were believed in antiquity to compose all matter. In fire, the Habsburg emblem of the fire striker forms the ear and nose. Struck against a flint stone, it created a spark, symbolizing the dynasty's energy and all-consuming power. Pendants depict imperial symbols, the two-headed eagle and the golden ram skin. It symbolizes the chivalric order of the Golden Fleece, the Habsburgs' highest honor. Earth is an allegorical depiction of imperial grandeur. The antlers suggest a crown. The Habsburgs' claim to be the descendants of the powerful Hercules is suggested by the lion skin, one of his attributes. And again, the ram skin, evoking the Golden Fleece. Water is composed of more than 60 species of aquatic life. Shellfish, a frog, a turtle, and a small octopus make up the chest and shoulders. A pearl necklace hangs from a neck of eels and unlucky fish ensnared by tentacles. The head is a motley chowder of fish and some token mammals, a walrus and a seal crowned with coral. Air, known only from a copy, is a strangely assimilated flock of birds. The seasons and the elements were dedicated to Maximilian on New Year's Day, 1569. The implied message was clear. The Habsburgs reign over the seasons and elements as they do over the world of states. As the seasons succeeded each other in perpetual cycle, so would the reign of the Habsburgs over the empire be eternal. At the emperor's request, the paintings were copied by Arcimboldo, who made slight variations, and used by Maximilian as gifts to dignitaries. Arcimboldo's inventiveness moved in a different direction with invertible paintings. A grotesque portrait of a cook owes much to the lessons Arcimboldo learned from Leonardo's experiments with the human face. But turned upside down, it becomes a suckling pig among a platter of roast meats. Maximilian died in 1576. He was succeeded by his son Rudolph II, who ruled for 36 years. The new emperor moved the court to Prague. Prague Castle, a sprawling complex of buildings, dominated the city. Intellectual by nature, Rudolph also had a lighter side and shared his father's delight in trick paintings. Rudolph's Kunstkammer was housed in rooms above the royal stables in Prague Castle. It held thousands of paintings, including masterpieces by Paolo Veronese, Peter Bruegel the Elder, and Hans Hofmann. In the late 1580s, Arcimboldo returned to Milan, continuing to receive a salary from the emperor. And he continued to paint. He combined the 4 seasons in one head: the flowers of spring, the wheat of summer, the autumn apples, and echoes of Leonardo's grotesque heads in a wintry face. But his crowning achievement, painted in 1590, is a painting of Rudolph as Vertumnus, the Roman god of vegetation. Fruits and flowers of different seasons flourish in his portrait, suggesting the prosperity, peace, and harmony of Rudolph's reign, a golden age. Arcimboldo died in 1593. The reputation of the great court painter languished for centuries. In the 20th century, avant-garde artists and intellectuals rediscovered him. The surrealist champion André Breton hailed Arcimboldo as the founder of surrealism. In 1942, Man Ray created his own version of Arcimboldo's Winter. Max Ernst portrayed Euclid, the father of geometry, his face an inverted pyramid. Arcimboldo's works have appealed equally to Holy Roman emperors, 20th century artists, and contemporary audiences. His appeal lies partly in the playfulness of his paintings, but Arcimboldo's finest works are also a kind of alchemy, seamlessly blending nature and fantasy to create jokes of a serious kind, witty proclamations of the Habsburgs' eternal reign over their empire.